Okay, let's dive in. We're talking about navigating the, frankly, incredibly crowded world of e-commerce today, especially if you're running a store on Shopify. It just feels like there are millions of stores out there, right? Everyone's competing for the same eyeballs. This deep dive is powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store. Test it for free on your Shopify store.
It really is crowded. And, that intense competition gets right to the heart of the matter. Your products, your prices. Honestly, those are pretty easy for someone else to copy. What really makes you stand out, the true differentiator, isn't just the item anymore. It's your brand, the story you tell, how you connect, and that mostly happens through your content.
Right. So you listening right now might be thinking, okay, how come some stores seem to just get it? They pull in traffic, people stick around, they actually buy stuff, while my store feels like, I don't know, shouting into the void.
Yeah. Yeah, and the answer, a lot of the time, isn't just about churning out more content. It's about understanding the whole content landscape. What are your competitors doing? And how can you strategically do better? It's what the source material calls competitive content analysis. And let's be clear, it's not about ripping people off.
No.
It's about decoding what works, finding those gaps they've missed, and then crafting content that's frankly just better for your audience.
Okay, so that's our goal here in this deep dive. We want to give you the playbook, how to actually dissect competitor content, sniff out those opportunities for your store, and then build a content strategy that gives you a real, tangible edge. The great thing about Shopify is how easy it makes starting a business. It's democratized things incredibly.
It really has.
But like you said, that accessibility, it cuts both ways. Simple to start, yes, but incredibly hard to stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. And that's precisely why content has gone from maybe a nice-to-have thing to absolutely fundamental. How you build personality, educate people, nudge them towards buying, and build those relationships that last longer than one transaction. The stats in the source really back this up. Stores with good blogs, they see something like 67% more leads and detailed product pages. That can lift conversions by, up to 36%.
36%, that's significant.
It is. So content isn't fluff. It drives visibility, gets you the right kind of customers, and it directly drives sales. End of story.
Okay, I'm sold on content being vital, but why spend all the effort looking at what the competition is doing? What's the real payoff? What are the, game-changing benefits?
Well, the source points to three really big ones. First, it just flat out reveals market opportunities you probably wouldn't spot otherwise. Think of it like following breadcrumbs. You see competitors ranking for keywords you want, descriptions that are clearly working, blog posts getting shared everywhere. They're basically signposting where audience interest already exists.
Okay, so it shows you where the demand is.
Precisely. Second, it totally shifts your decision-making. You move from guessing what might work, maybe I should do a podcast, or TikTok, to actually using data. You see what's resonating, what's getting results for others in your space. So you can invest your time, your money, much more strategically. It's data-driven, not just guesswork.
Less throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Exactly, less spaghetti. And third, it's a massive growth accelerator. You don't have to learn everything the hard way through endless trial and error. You learn from what worked for others, and just as importantly, what didn't work for them. You're essentially, standing on their shoulders, adapting proven ideas for your brand instead of reinventing the wheel from scratch.
I loved that story in the source material about the store owner. They were pouring energy into these, really complex infographics, right? But they just weren't landing.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But then they looked around, did the analysis, and saw competitors and their audience were all about short videos. So they pivoted, and boom, engagement doubled, conversion shot up 17%.
17%. That's the power of analysis right there, making informed shifts.
So, okay, you need to analyze. But who? You can't analyze everyone. How do you avoid getting lost, maybe focusing on some giant company, when your real fight is with smaller, newer stores?
That's a super important point. You need clarity. The source actually gives a really useful way to think about this, breaking the competitive landscape into 3 layers. Each gives you different kinds of insights. First up, your direct competitors. These are the obvious ones, selling similar stuff to the same people, probably around the same price.
Like if I sell eco-friendly sneakers, it's other eco-friendly sneaker brands.
Exactly. They're the ones your customer's likely looking at right before they decide to buy from you or them. And don't just look at stores your size. Include smaller, maybe more innovative ones, and some bigger players in that direct space too. Get the range. Then you've got indirect competitors. They're chasing the same audience as you, but maybe with different products. So for your sneaker brand, maybe it's ethical clothing stores or eco-friendly subscription boxes. They're not selling shoes, but they are fighting for your customers' attention and wallet.
Ah, okay. So looking at them tells you about broader themes that interest your audience.
Precisely. What else resonates with that conscious consumer mindset? And the third layer is aspirational competitors. These are the big fish, the
Yeah.
industry leaders setting the pace. Maybe you're not directly competing with, say, Allbirds or Veja today on scale or price, but looking at how they communicate sustainability, their brand storytelling, that can be hugely inspirational. They're like your strategic North Star.
Direct, indirect, aspirational.
Yeah.
Got it. Different layers for different insights. But practically, how do you actually find these companies? It's got to be more than just typing into Google, right?
Oh, definitely. You need to be systematic. The source lays out 3 solid approaches. First is keyword-based. Who's showing up when people search for terms related to your products? Tools are key here. Think Ahrefs, SEMrush, Ubersuggest, stuff like that.
The SEO tools.
Right. You plug in your core keywords, maybe vegan leather boots or best recycled sneakers, and see who consistently ranks high. Organically, but also look at who's paying for ads on those terms. That tells you a lot about their focus. Second approach, audience-based research. Where do your ideal customers actually spend their time and money online? What else are they into? You can literally ask your customers, who else did you consider? Simple surveys work. Or use social listening tools like Mentioned or Brand24 to see who gets talked about alongside your brand. And there's a tool called Sparktora that's pretty powerful here. You tell it about your audience, and it spits out websites, social accounts, podcasts they follow. It just shows you where they engage.
Okay, that sounds useful for finding those indirect competitors, too.
Definitely. And the third way is Shopify specific. There are tools built just for this ecosystem. Little browser extensions like Koala Inspector can tell you if fights on Shopify, maybe what theme or apps they use. ShopScore gives you benchmarks against similar stores. Even browsing the Shopify exchange where people sell their stores can give you clues about comparable businesses.
Wow, okay, between those 3, you could build a massive list pretty quickly. How do you stop from drowning in data?
Yeah, you have to prioritize. Seriously, the source strongly recommends not trying to analyze dozens of stores. It's just too much. Focus. Pick maybe 5 to 10 key competitors for your deep dive. Get that mix we talked about, maybe 3 to 5 direct ones, 2 or 3 indirect, and 1 or 2 aspirational. Make sure you include some established names and some interesting newer players. Then build a simple database. A spreadsheet is perfect. This is your command center. For each competitor, log the key stuff. Name, URL, type, direct, indirect, aspirational, who they target, product overlap, price point compared to you, estimated traffic if you can get it. SimilarWeb gives estimates what content channels they use, and just your initial gut feeling on their strengths and weaknesses.
Like a competitive dashboard.
Exactly. And crucial point, this isn't a one-and-done thing. You got to keep it updated. The source suggests revisiting it quarterly at least. Keep your finger on the pulse.
Okay, database setup, top competitors chosen. Now for the real fun, the detective work.
Yeah.
How do you systematically figure out what content they're actually creating?
You need a system, like you said. Break it down. The source suggests looking at 3 main buckets of content. First, their product content. This is everything on the product pages, collection pages, stuff that directly supports the sale. Look closely at descriptions. Are they just dry specs? Or are they talking benefits, solving problems? How detailed are they? Sizing guides, material info, sustainability callouts.
And the visuals there must be huge.
Absolutely critical. Look at their visuals. High-quality photos, multiple angles, lifestyle shots showing the product in use, close-ups, video. Are they using customer photos, that user-generated content? Remember that sporting goods example? Short looping videos for different product options cut down returns because people knew exactly what they were getting. Small detail, big impact.
Right. Okay, so product content first. What's next?
Second bucket, marketing content. This is the stuff designed to attract people earlier on, build awareness, engage them. So, dig into their blog. What topics do they hit? How often? Is it quick tips or deep dives? Seasonal stuff or evergreen guides? Sign up for their emails. Note the subject lines, how often they send, the mix of buy now versus genuinely useful stuff, and analyze their social media, platform by platform, frequency, best types of posts, their voice. Are they using stories, reels, lives effectively? How much is promotion versus just building community?
Lots to track there. And the third category.
Third is educational and support content. This answers questions, builds trust, helps people post-purchase maybe. Check out their FAQs, their knowledge base. Is it comprehensive, easy to find answers? Do they have tutorials, how-to guides, onboarding stuff? This shows you how they tackle customer sticking points.
Okay, so you've cataloged what they have. product, marketing, support content. But how do you gauge if it's any good? How well is it actually performing for them?
Right, that's the next crucial layer. You need to assess quality and effectiveness. It's a mix of looking at the content itself qualitatively and looking for performance indicators quantitatively. Qualitatively, look at depth and comprehensiveness. Is their stuff superficial or does it really go deep? Does it feel authoritative? Look for those EAT signals. Expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. Are they citing sources, featuring experts,
Yeah.
sharing data, addressing concerns head on?
So judging the actual substance.
Exactly. Then, quantitatively, look for signs of engagement. You won't see their private Google Analytics, obviously. But tools can give clues. BuzzSumo can show social shares for content. Browser plugins like SimilarWeb might give estimates for time on page or bounce rate on blog posts. Look at the volume and vibe of comments, reviews, social mentions around their brand. Does it feel like people are connecting?
Okay, so using public clues for engagement, what about actual sales conversion from content? That seems harder to see.
It is harder, but not impossible to get hints. Look closely at their calls to action, CTAs. Where are they placed in the content? What language do they use? Do they change depending on the content? Try to map a path yourself. Start on a blog post. See how easy it is to get to a relevant product. How many clicks? Any special offers along the way? And generally, you can assume if they're heavily promoting a piece of the content, maybe running ads to it, or constantly repurposing it, it's probably working for them on some level, likely including conversions.
That makes sense. You know, it strikes me that getting people engaged with content is one thing, but for a store, it has to lead to sales eventually. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. Driving traffic and building trust is vital, but converting that interest into revenue, that's where the rubber meets the road for e-commerce. You have to effectively guide that engaged visitor to take the next step. And, speaking of turning that content engagement into actual sales, there are tools designed specifically for that conversion point. Growth Suite, for example, which the source mentions, is a Shopify app that helps you analyze visitor behavior on your site and then create personalized, smart discount offers. Its AI looks at visitor intent in real time and can trigger these targeted, often time-limited promotions. It's directly related to understanding where someone is in their journey based on the content they just consumed. It helps boost conversions without just spraying generic discounts everywhere.
So it connects the content interaction to a relevant offer. Smart. Okay, so you've got great content, you're building trust, maybe using tools like Growth Suite to help convert.
Yeah.
But people need to find the content first. How do competitors get it seen?
Great question. Analyzing their distribution and promotion strategy is just as important as analyzing the content itself. First, dive into their SEO strategy. How are they getting organic traffic? Use those SEO tools, again, Ahrefs, SRush. See what keywords their content ranks for, not just product pages. Look at their on-page SEO basics titles, meta descriptions, heading structure, and check out their site structure. How do they link between content pieces? Are they using things like pillar pages and topic clusters? That reveals their priorities for search.
So reverse engineering their SEO.
Pretty much. Then look at social media distribution. How do they push content out there? Which platforms do they focus on? Do they just dump links, or do they adapt the content for each platform, like making a short video clip for Instagram from a longer blog post? Check their frequency, how they engage with comments to promote stuff. If they use groups, specific features like stories or whatever, how do they amplify beyond just posting?
Got it. And what about paid promotion?
Yep. Paid content promotion. Where are they putting their ad dollars? Facebook's ad library is gold. You can see the exact ads they're running on Facebook and Instagram. Pay attention to which content pieces they're boosting with ads. It's usually a strong signal it converts well or brings in valuable leads. Also look for Google ads driving traffic to blog posts or guides, not just product pages. And keep an eye out for content syndication or partnerships where they get their content featured on other sites.
Okay, so you've analyzed what they create, how well it seems to work, how they get it out there. Now, the million-dollar question. How do you turn all that intel into actual actionable opportunities for your store? Finding what's missing, finding where you can win.
Right, this is where the strategy really starts to form. It begins with identifying content gaps. These are spaces where your audience has a need, but competitors, and maybe even you, aren't meeting it well. You can find keyword-based gaps. Use tools like Ahrefs' Content Gap feature. It literally shows you keywords competitors rank for, but you don't. Prioritize those based on search volume, how hard they are to rank for, and crucially, the intent behind the search. Is someone just browsing, or are they ready to buy? That home furnishings example was great. Finding competitors missed super specific high-intent searches like round marble coffee table 36-inch, Clear buying signal, clear gap.
So finding those specific search terms they missed.
Exactly. Also look for broader topic and theme gaps. Are there subjects nobody's covering well? Emerging trends, recurring customer questions you see in reviews or social comments that aren't being addressed. And don't forget format and medium gaps. Are competitors all just writing blog posts? Maybe there's a huge opportunity for you in video or interactive quizzes or content tailored for specific platforms like TikTok where they aren't playing.
Okay, find the gaps. What else?
Next, actively look for your competitors' content weaknesses. Where does their existing content just fall short? This is your chance to be explicitly better. Look for quality and accuracy issues. Is their info outdated? Superficial? Just plain wrong? If they rushed it out, you can win by being the reliable, trustworthy source. Build that reputation. Hunt for user experience problems. Is their site confusing? Content hard to find. Slow loading, especially on mobile. A smooth, fast, intuitive experience is a competitive advantage. That beauty brand that saw a 28% engagement jump just by reorganizing guides, that's UX winning.
Makes sense. Poor experience drives people away fast.
Instantly. Also, look for engagement and conversion shortcomings. Weak CTAs. A big disconnect between a helpful guide and actually buying the product. If their amazing how-to doesn't link to the stuff you need, that's a conversion opportunity for you to do it right.
Okay, find weaknesses. And
then, the most exciting part. Discover your unique content opportunities. What can you do that they can't? Leverage what makes your store unique. Lean into your brand's unique strengths. Got special expertise. A compelling founder story. Exclusive data. That clothing founder with 15 years in textiles, they could write stuff nobody else could match. What's your version of that?
Find your unfair advantage.
Exactly. Also identify underserved customer segments. Are there niche groups getting generic content from everyone else? Tailor content specifically for them, and you become their go-to resource. And finally, create differentiated approaches. Find a unique voice, format, or perspective. Maybe you're funnier, more personal, more data-driven. Sometimes just presenting information in a fresh way can make all the difference.
Fantastic. That really maps out how to move from analysis to finding real openings. So you've got these opportunities identified. How do you build the actual strategic plan to execute?
Okay, now you build the framework. Start by setting clear strategic content objectives. Your content needs a purpose tied to business goals. Define specific, measurable goals and KPIs. What are you trying to achieve? More traffic, better engagement, more email signups, direct sales from content, better customer retention. Align these KPIs with your big business objectives.
So knowing what success looks like for your content.
Precisely. Then establish your competitive positioning for content. How will yours be different and better? What's your core message, your unique voice? Write it down. A content positioning statement like, our content will be the most actionable, in-depth, inspiring resource for our audience trying to achieve X. And, importantly, figure out resource allocation. Be realistic. Budget. Tools. Team time. Maybe focus on doing one or two things really well and consistently rather than spreading yourself thin.
Okay, goals, positioning, resources, then the actual plan.
Then you create a content roadmap, your timeline and plan of attack. Prioritize your content topics. Use those gaps and opportunities you found. Balance the potential payoff, volume, conversion likelihood against the effort involved, difficulty, production cost. Maybe use a scoring system like the source suggested. Volume X potential. Difficulty X complexity. Helps you be objective.
A way to rank the ideas.
It's hard. Yep. Then build a content calendar, your publishing schedule. How often can you realistically publish high-quality stuff? Factor in seasonal needs. And crucially, schedule time to update and refresh existing content. Often that gives you more bang for your buck than creating something totally new.
Good point. Updating old winners.
Big time. Then define your format and channel strategy. What types of content make sense for your audience and goals? Blog posts, videos, podcasts. Which channels will you use to distribute? How will you adapt content? Focus where your audience is and what you can execute well.
Makes sense. Finally, how do you make sure it actually gets done efficiently?
You need solid production workflows. Systematize it for quality and consistency. Document your content creation process. Standards for research, writing, visuals, QA, approvals. Use templates. Build a resource library. Make it repeatable. Integrate SEO from the start. Keyword guidelines. On-page checklists. Understand Shopify's technical SEO quirks, URL structures, schema markup, optimizing collection pages, and set up content performance tracking. Close the loop. Get your analytics dashboards ready. Review performance regularly. Build in that continuous improvement cycle based on data.
Right, it's a cycle. Create, measure, improve. Okay, Plan is in place. What about specific tactics? How do you really punch above your weight and outperform competitors with the content itself?
Okay, let's get tactical. A huge impact area is creating superior product content. This directly hits conversions. Enhance those descriptions. Go beyond specs. Sell the benefit, overcome objections, tell a mini story, weave in keywords naturally. Remember the recycled fabric example? Don't just say 200-gram recycled polyester. Say why it matters. Lightweight, breathable, keeps you comfy. A&D saves 25 bottles from landfill. Connect the feature to the benefit and the impact.
Tell the story behind the spec.
Exactly. Invest in advanced visuals. High-quality photos, multiple angles, lifestyle shots are table stakes now. But add video demos. Showcase user-generated photos. That furniture store saw a 24% conversion lift just by adding lifestyle photos. And explore interactive experiences. 360 views, AR try-ons, customization tools. These boost confidence and cut down returns. Shopify apps are making these more accessible too.
Okay, better product content. What about the marketing content side?
For high-value marketing content, think about establishing authority and nurturing leads. Create in-depth educational resources, comprehensive buying guides, industry trend reports, expert interviews. These become cornerstone assets that attract quality traffic and earn links naturally. Develop community-building content, customer stories, Q&A forums, maybe webinars like that home goods store did. Building that tribe of advocates through value is incredibly powerful. And create specific conversion-focused content, stuff that bridges the gap from interested to buying. Honest comparison guides highlighting your unique edge, ROI calculators, curated testimonial collections organized by pain point. This attracts people ready to make a decision.
Got it. And you mentioned optimizing specifically for Shopify.
Yes, optimize within Shopify's ecosystem. Understand the platform. For the Shopify blog, work with its strengths and weaknesses. Customize your theme for readability. Strategically link to products within posts. Optimize for email signups. Use apps to add features if the native blog is limiting. Leverage Shopify apps smartly. Review apps, quiz tools for product recommendations, personalization apps. Choose ones that integrate well and enhance the content experience. And critically, integrate content across the entire customer journey. Map it out. What content do they need before purchase, right after, to stay loyal? Ensure consistent messaging and fill any gaps you find in that journey map.
It really drives home that this isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing. Content marketing, especially staying ahead competitively, it's ongoing.
It absolutely is. It's a marathon, requires constant attention.
Yeah.
Measurement and adaptation are key. You need to be tracking your content performance against competitors regularly. Keep an eye on those benchmarks, your organic keyword rankings versus theirs. Social engagement share, any conversion clues. Use the tools, SEO platforms, social listening, analytics. Set up alerts for big shifts.
So ongoing competitive intelligence.
Yes. And build those competitive performance dashboards we talked about. Visualize the trends side by side. Share the insights. Make them living documents. Then commit to iterative content optimization. Schedule those regular content audits quarterly as a good starting point. Find underperformers. Update content for accuracy, freshness. Remember, updating existing stuff, especially pages ranking okay but not great, or high-traffic pages that don't convert, often pays off better than starting from scratch.
Refreshing is key.
Totally. Embrace A/B testing. Test headlines, formats, CTAs, layouts. See what actually works best with your audience. Don't just assume. Test it. And constantly integrate customer feedback. Surveys, user tests, analyzing comments. This gives you the why behind the metrics, the qualitative insights.
Makes sense. And looking ahead?
Yeah, stay ahead of trends. Watch for emerging content formats, new platforms, interactive tech. Evaluate them based on audience value, not just novelty. See how content distribution evolves, like video search taking off on TikTok and YouTube. Adapt your strategy. And think long-term. Build a content ecosystem, not just individual pieces. Focus on domain authority. Create proprietary assets competitors can't easily copy. The real lasting advantage comes from that consistency, depth, and unique perspective built over time. It compounds.
Wow. Okay. That was incredibly thorough. So to wrap up the big picture, competitive content analysis isn't optional anymore. It's essential practice, especially on Shopify. Data needs to drive your decisions. You got to balance reacting to competitors with innovating from your own unique strengths and really see content as this core strategic asset that grows in value, sets you apart, and builds advantages nobody else has.
That nails it. And if you're wondering where to start, the source laid out a nice action plan immediately, like in the next 30 days. Do a quick analysis of 5-10 key competitors. Identify your top 3 to 5 content opportunities right now. Get your basic tracking set up so you have a baseline. Medium term, say 1-3 months. Build out that detailed content roadmap. Beef up your content creation process, tools, team, workflows. Start implementing some initial tests and optimizations. Longer term, thinking 3-12 months. Focus on creating those truly unique signature content assets. Build direct audience relationships, email lists, communities. Find ways to create content barriers that are hard for others to copy.
That's a great framework. So maybe the final thought is competitive analysis isn't just about seeing the current game board, it's about using that intelligence to strategically shape the future game board in your favor, using your unique strengths. Definitely something to chew on. This has been a deep dive on competitive content analysis for Shopify stores, brought to you by Shop Strategy.
And just a reminder, turning all that great content engagement into sales can get a real boost from smart tools. Growth Suite, which we touched on, uses AI to create those targeted discount campaigns based on real-time visitor behavior. It helps increase sales effectively while protecting your brand image by making relevant offers at the right moment.
Explore Growth Suite for free on your Shopify store and test how smart discounts can supercharge your strategy.